Good morning, everyone. My name is Theo, and I'm going to talk about hesitation disfluency in spontaneous speech. Also, the meaning of and Human speech is peppered with ums and ahs, among other signs of hesitation in the planning process. But are these so-called fillers or filled pauses intentionally altered by speakers, or are they side effects of difficulty in the planning process? And how do the listener respond to them? The present paper review evidence concerning the production and comprehension of fields such as and are in an attempt to determine whether to they can be said to be words with meanings that are understood by listeners. To conclude, listeners are highly sensitive to hesitation disfluencies in speech. There is little evidence to suggest that they are intentionally produced or should be considered to be words in the conventional sense. When humans communicate, their messages are covered by more than just the words they use. They can, for example, use gesture to indicate what a phrase such as this one refers to, or change their tone of voice to show the assertion that their love linguistic is not be taken at face value, as well as these additional components of communication. The words of unprepared spoken language are likely to be accompanied by a range of intentionality errors if, for example, a speaker exchanges the one set of two words by perhaps saying front door when intending to say front door. It is highly unlikely that the exchange is intentional, and the occurrence of accidental speech errors like this may inform us about the nature of speech planning. Between this extreme of intentionality are disfluencies or the false starts, repetition, and hesitations that accompany the word that speaker plans and alter. Averaging across several studies, Foxtree estimated that approximately 6% of words uttered are affected by some form of disfluencies. These disfluencies may not always be accidental. It has been argued that some type of disfluencies should be counted among the tools the speaker has for communicating to the listeners. Alongside things such as tone of voice, others, such as false starts, may be due to speaker editing their own speech. Shift among the potentially communicative disfluencies are the so-called fillers such as and which mark hesitation on the part of the speaker. In this paper, we investigated the role played by hesitation in human communication with a particular focus on filler and the communicative goal they may serve. Here's my table of contents. First, where do disfluencies such as filler occur throughout? Next, what are hesitation disfluencies and cognitive load? Third, what's the meaning of and are? In the end, I will tell you guys how to reducing disfluencies in spontaneous speech. After all of this, I would like to show you a short video of a short talk between Ryan Reynolds and Jack Gyllenhaal, and let's see how many times and what they are using video. Investigation of where disfluencies such as filler occurs throughout utterance have established that they are more likely to occur before content words such as low-frequency color names. However, Bailey and Butterworth came to a different conclusion when they investigated the distributional properties of disfluencies as across a set of recordings of two-person conversations. They showed that both low-frequency content words and those rated as contextual improbable were likely to be preceded by hesitations such as fillers. When the frequency was held constant, contextual probability still predicts disfluencies. Rather than attributing these fluencies to cognitive load, Betty and Butterworth suggest that the speaker might be aware of an element of choice in selecting words with low contextual probability when and were more likely to be disfluenced for this reason. Next, not enough practice. Research also shows do more practice can reducing hesitation disfluencies in your speech, and better preparation can reduce the mood of hesitation very well. Next, what are hesitation disfluency and what is cognitive load? In spontaneous speech, any form of nonsense pauses are called hesitation disfluency. One of the most common hesitation disfluencies is fillers, and what is cognitive load? It's a process that you are phrasing your word and thinking about how to pronounce the word and what does it mean. The research shows that there is more likely a filler word throughout after cognitive load. Now, let's move on to the next. What's the meaning of and Their meaning is no meaning. There are just two different kinds of delay. Is the longer delay and is a brief delay. Although there is no meaning in these two different words, the study shows that the speaker are the listener are more likely to memorize the content that comes after and us. In the field of linguistics, some believe that and that means someone is trying to throw out an opinion or phrasing what they are going to say next and lead the listener to the point which the speaker wants to send. Last but not least, how to reduce these fluencies in spontaneous speech. First, as I've mentioned in the very beginning, practice more. Do more practice can before your speech can make you more confident and more fluency about your speech. Next, choice of word. You should choose the word you are familiar with instead of some words which are uncommon and difficult. This can also help you do your speech more fluently because the words in your speech are those you know very well. So there is this chance that you have a cognitive load which only happens when you are not familiar with the words. Finally, using silent pause. You should get used to using a silent pause. It is one kind of phrasing, and we all need to learn how and when to use it instead of fillers. Now, I would like to share you a video from YouTube, and let's see how fillers are heard in our daily conversation. Then we'll see how many times and what kind of fillers throughout the speaker in this video. Alright, as you can see here, I've made a small record to count out how many times do the speaker use the filler and which one is the most frequent. The first one is and it has been used once. The second one is it has been used 10 times. The third one is like it has been used twice. The next, yeah, it has been used twice. After, it has been used once. The final one, it has been used once. In my opinion, and yeah can be considered as the speaker was thinking about what he wants to say and which word he should use. Like, are more likely throughout when the speaker wants the listener to agree with his opinion and reach consensus. Taken together, the study have surveyed that shows that fillers occur in utterance when speakers are uncertain or when they are have choice to make. The effects that the comprehension process, facilitating understanding and allowing the listener to amend their prediction about what might be said next, or evaluate the speaker confidence in what they are saying. Although this evidence is consistent with a view that and are words, other studies suggest that they do not have such a status. Speakers produce them automatically when there is a delay to the speech plan, and it may be the case that any plausible interruption to fluent speech will affect listener in the same way as filler. So this is my presentation today. Thank you for listening.